Welcome to The Explainer. So, let me guess, you're currently earning just enough to survive, but never quite enough to actually, relax, right? Every single month feels like a tightrope walk. One unexpected expense pops up and boom, everything falls apart. Payday hits and it just vanishes instantly. And somewhere deep down, you've probably started believing a really dangerous idea, that if you just made more money, everything would magically be okay. But here's the part nobody really talks about. You've been sold a half-truth. The entire system around us, the constant ads, the treat-yourself messaging, the crazy easy financing, it's all intentionally engineered to make you spend way faster than you earn. So today, we're doing a deep dive explainer on a fascinating source that breaks down the Machiavellian blueprint for stealth wealth. All right, let's jump into this and shatter some illusions.
This actually brings us to a pretty brutal truth from centuries ago. Niccolo Machiavelli warned about this exact kind of thinking. He said, people aren't destroyed because they lack opportunity. They're destroyed because they misunderstand power. And honestly, money works the exact same way. Here is the uncomfortable reality. You don't feel trapped because your salary is too small. You feel trapped because you don't have a strategy. Simply earning a higher income isn't going to automatically cure your financial anxiety.
It really boils down to a battle between illusion and reality. The illusion is that income solves everything. Our source points out that so many of us believe the next raise will finally fix our problems. We think more income automatically equals more freedom. But when the money increases, the stress often stays exactly the same, simply because the underlying habits didn't change at all. The reality, though, is all about control. True wealth doesn't begin when your paycheck gets bigger. It begins the exact moment your behavior changes and you take absolute control of what you have. We literally have to stop blaming our income and start ruthlessly analyzing our behavior.
Okay, let's get into the first major shift, absolute control, and plugging those leaks.
To get started, we have 3 initial strategies to move you out of reactive surrender and into proactive control. Number 1, pay yourself like a creditor. Number 2, track every single dollar. And number 3, live like you're broke.
Let's think about young John D. Rockefeller for a second. Way before the massive oil empire and the billions, he was just a young bookkeeper, bringing in a very modest income. But from his very first paycheck, he followed one rule with absolute ironclad discipline. He paid himself first. Most of us pay rent, bills, Netflix, and then, if there's anything miraculously left over, we think about saving. That is essentially surrendering. But treating your wealth building as a non-negotiable debt, paying yourself like you literally owe yourself money, that rewires your entire identity. Think about it. If you owed your landlord money and skipped a month, there'd be massive pressure and real consequences. You need to start treating your future self as the most important creditor you will ever have.
Now, once you actually start paying yourself first, your money suddenly feels restricted, right? And panic kind of kicks in. But it's not that you don't make enough, it's that your money is quietly leaving without your permission. Have you ever opened your banking app and genuinely just wondered where did it all go? Machiavelli warned that the most dangerous threats are the ones we don't even see. Let's break down a simple takeout meal. You think, oh, it's $300, but then you add an $80 service fee, $60 for delivery, and a $40 tip. Suddenly, almost $500 is just gone for one meal. This is what's known as the Rothschild tracking method. During the rise of their banking empire, they tracked literally every single transaction. Exposing these invisible leaks, the 200 coffees, the random forgotten app subscriptions, gives you your leverage back. Because awareness creates power.
And this leads us perfectly into our third strategy, which honestly is all about ego. The average mindset is completely obsessed with looking rich. The middle class often totally drains itself trying to maintain an image, upgrading phones and cars on credit just to keep up. But the Machiavellian mindset, that values being free. Just think about it. Someone driving a reliable 10-year-old car with zero debt who consistently invests their money, they have infinitely more power than someone driving a brand new luxury car on a hefty EMI, but who is sweating paycheck to paycheck. You intentionally make your life cheaper than it actually needs to be so you can build quiet leverage.
Moving on to shift number 2, building a quiet margin through the power of friction.
Here are the next 3 strategies on the blueprint. 4. Build quiet income. 5. Make your money completely untouchable. And 6. Invest immediately.
Now, the goal here is avoiding loud hustle culture. You really don't need to destroy yourself working 16 hours a day or juggling 3 jobs on 0 sleep. That is desperation, not strategy.
What we want are boring, consistent systems that earn without constant, exhausting effort. Things like freelance gigs or digital products. Because here's the catch. Once you build that margin and a little extra money starts stacking up, a brand new enemy appears. You. The urge to reward yourself is so strong. Discipline is fragile, but systems are not. So here is a brilliant 3-step friction strategy to outsmart human weakness. Step 1. Open a second, totally unrelated bank account. Step 2. Automate a small transfer every single payday. Step 3. Delete the app from your phone and literally throw away the debit card. By making the money completely inaccessible, you protect it from those late-night emotional, you know what, I deserve this spending moments. You aren't fighting temptation, you're just outsmarting it.
Once that money is protected, you absolutely must invest it, even if it's literally just $500. People always hesitate, waiting until they have a big chunk of money. But investing isn't about having money. It's about becoming the kind of person who invests. Warren Buffett actually bought his first stock as a teenager. He obviously wasn't making huge money, but that initial investment wasn't about the financial return. It was entirely about building an ownership identity. Poor thinking focuses on spending, which disappears instantly. Wealthy thinking focuses on owning, which compounds quietly over time. That 500? It's training. It's building the muscle.
All right, shift 3. This is where we master rich math and practice ruthless prioritization.
Strategies 7 and 8 are simple but intense. Use rich math and absolutely kill middle-class debt traps. Let's take a look at how most folks operate. They use the standard 50-30-20 budget. 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings. This is essentially a survival budget. Poor math is highly emotional. It looks at a purchase and simply asks, "Can I afford this monthly payment?" It puts wants right up front, leaving wealth building as this sort of afterthought, which practically guarantees you're living right at the edge of your means.
Now, contrast that with Machiavellian rich math. The breakdown flips entirely. 60% needs, 30% wealth, and only 10% wants. This is aggressive. It's ruthless prioritization. Rich math asks a completely different question. What will this cost me over time? By prioritizing wealth building way above your momentary wants, a lower earner who is intentional with this math can actually easily outperform a high earner who is just flying by the seat of their pants.
But listen, all of that math is completely useless if you fall into Strategy 8's crosshairs, normalized middle-class traps. I want you to remember this. Debt isn't just an expense. It is a leash. Buy now, pay later apps, crazy car EMIs, 0% EMI TVs, these things literally condition you to comfortably live beyond your means. Financial systems do not profit when you are wealthy. They profit when you are in debt. Every single low monthly payment is specifically designed to keep you dependent on them. If you rely on payments, you can't walk away from a bad job or escape pressure. You need to actually be free, not just look rich. Which brings us to our final shift. Automate stealth wealth, the absolute climax of control. Our last 2 strategies to lock this all in: build stealth wealth and automate literally everything.
There's a massive difference in mindsets here. Flashy wealth is all about signals, the cars, the designer clothes, the status symbols. But signals attract attention. Attention creates pressure, and pressure almost always leads to bad decisions. Stealth wealth, on the other hand, is about silence and control. You are financially bulletproof, but you aren't announcing it to the world. Picture a real millionaire in your head right now. Got it? Okay, now erase that image, because in reality, they are often entirely invisible to us. Simple clothes, a normal car, absolutely no noise. Visibility invites interference, whereas quiet protects your momentum. To really anchor this concept, we look to another brilliant insight from Machiavelli. The strongest position is the one least noticed. And this isn't about hiding out of fear. It's about being protected through superior strategy, not constantly worrying about a sudden emergency, truly owning your own time, having the power to say no, and sleeping peacefully because your lifestyle isn't heavily financed. That is real wealth. Silence and peace are the ultimate luxuries, and honestly, silence is expensive. So how do we make sure this doesn't just fall apart next month? By automating it. Strategy 10 is about automated wealth, building systems that execute without relying on human motivation. Machiavelli definitely did not trust human consistency, and to be perfectly honest, neither should we. Motivation fades, discipline weakens, life gets incredibly busy. But automated transfers and automated investments, they don't care about your feelings, they execute anyway. They consistently outsmart our human inconsistency, allowing time to just do all the heavy lifting in the background. Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to chew on. Who are you becoming?
Don't think about where you are right this second or how small your income might feel today. Think about the identity you are stepping into right now. Because you don't need a massive income to build wealth. You just need better behavior, better systems, and to become the absolute architect of your own control. Decide what kind of person you are becoming and let silence protect your progress. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.